Hi everyone. Let me turn on the music. Okay, welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh my god, I can't believe we're here. 22nd lesson. And I hope this is not too loud. For me it's a little bit loud. Yeah, I hope you've been well. I'm sorry that I haven't been posting for so long. There were a lot of things going on in my life and lots of family stuff, and I was not here. I was traveling and I sang at a wedding, which was kind of an exciting thing for me. I have sung at my sister's and cousin's wedding, but never for someone else, and I did that last week, which was really exciting. And it went well, and super proud of myself because it stressed me out for the whole week and longer, but it all went smoothly. I was prepared very well. I felt calm when I was singing and playing the piano or keyboard. And yeah, it was a good experience, and I'd love to do that more often now, especially at that location. It was a beautiful location. Okay, yeah, and it's actually thanks to my sister and cousin who believed in me and who asked me to sing at their wedding that gave me the confidence to then believe that I could do this for other people as well. So I'm really grateful for them. Okay, and I've kind of been putting off to make this last video because there was just so much other stuff, and maybe I was a little bit scared to end this. But now I'm feeling good about it because I'm actually totally now in the lane of writing, and I'm feeling so confident now with the writing. I'm super happy about it because it used to be something that I struggled with a lot. I used to feel like what I was writing was not good enough or not professional enough. And yeah, I feel like making those videos helped me to figure out how I wanted to express myself and then put it on paper. So the last week I've been going to my favorite lake every day and was writing there. And I don't know how, there were a few things that brought me to that idea, but it's feeling really good. And I'm actually writing by hand, which is even better now. I used to write on the computer, but it feels more honest and more real to do it by hand, and then I'll of course transfer it to the computer later. But it's been going super well, and I'm so excited. Like, the book is really becoming real now. So thank you for joining me, or that you joined me along the journey. If you've watched the other videos too, and if you haven't, welcome. I'm here to talk about the different lessons I learned from my depression, and yeah, this is my last lesson that I put down. It's the lesson says environment has a huge impact on me, and it feels very what's the word, banal, is that an English word, to use this as a lesson, because in my mind this is something that everybody knows and that everybody lives by already, but I think it's not, and so I think it's good to talk about it and make a lesson out of it, especially because it was something that I really I would say learned the hard way, and still I'm learning about today, I would say. Okay. Oh, this feels kind of sad to make the last video. I'm already planning to make a video on... Sorry, my hair, I washed it before and now I want it to look super nice. I'm already planning on making another video where I talk about the process of writing the book and how that came about, because it's been a huge and long process for me, and one that I really cherished, and one that I felt was often kind of dismissed because it wasn't going as quickly as people would have liked it to go, I think. But I was super close to the process and was really enjoying it, and not like of course there were a few times where I thought, am I gonna be able to do this, and am I gonna stick with it? But I always felt like there was progress, even if other people couldn't see it. So yeah, I'd love to make a video about that, and I think I will in the near future. And yeah, okay. Let's talk about the lesson. Environment has a huge impact on me. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is the time when in 2000, at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, when, sorry, I had just cut off my hair, like really short, like I had shaved my head pretty much, and I had a lot of like really overwhelming experiences in the city where I felt like the people around me and everything around me was so overwhelming, and like I could sense like the emotions of everyone around me, and I was like really open, which made me so vulnerable to everything around me and super overwhelmed. And the other thing that I'm thinking about when I hear that lesson is the time that I think it was in February of 2018 when I moved into the city to have my own space. But sadly had a lot of experiences where I felt, again, super overwhelmed, living in the city and walking through the city and just feeling everything around me, and it being like super too much, way too much for me. And okay, and yeah, it made me feel like the world was a hostile place, like a place that was not made for me, that I was just not welcome here. Oh, this sounds really sad, but I really felt like me, with the way that I was, like being so sensitive and so open, just wasn't something that was compatible with the world that I was living in, which made me feel even more lonely than I was already feeling then. And I remember when I first started therapy in end of 2019, so it took a really long time for me to start. We talked a lot about what made me feel comfortable, or what gave me a sense of home and coziness, which was something that I was really yearning for, because I was feeling so disconnected and just, alone and not well in my daily life. And so we would often talk about like, okay, what things actually make you feel good, and like very simple things would come up, like this blanket that you see here, like soft blankets, like very tactile things, and like soft things, like I don't know, what did I say back then? Walking in the forest, I think I said. Comfortable clothes that make me feel very good. Like nice fabrics. Good food that's prepared with love. One of the main things that I think about is like super soft and fabrics. Like I feel like that's what I said the most. And I would really make an effort to infuse my life with those things, like be really aware of that blanket that I would like wrap around myself, or the pillows that were soft and cushy, is that a word? And the plants around me, or when I would walk in the forest, feel or see the trees, to really I really made an effort to focus on the things that were making me feel good in this environment where I felt like almost everything was like too much and overwhelming and making me feel bad and disconnected. And that took a lot of consistency and a lot of focus to really shift my attention towards that, because it was much easier to focus on the things that were overwhelming and not going well and were pulling me down. The noise of the cars, I don't know if I ever overheard a conversation between people that was like more difficult, or like they were arguing, like it really had a huge effect on how I was feeling. Or noises, too bright lights. I remember the first time I was in my therapist's office. I had all those thoughts, like sitting in the waiting room and then sitting in her office. I had all those thoughts of how you could make her office so much more comfortable and cozy for people who are sensitive or who are like me. And I couldn't believe that her office, it felt like a clinic or like a hospital, because like all walls were white. It was super simple, like how everything was designed, like how what things were there. It was super not made for comfort but for practicality. And I was thinking, how can she do this? Like, she works with people who are so who struggle so much. Why doesn't she make her office like the most cozy place ever? And I told her, I didn't tell her that, but I told her, like, I think, like, I know how you can make your office so much more cozy, and I had all those ideas. She was like, oh, that's interesting, and we talked about it, but of course she never changed anything, because that's how she liked it. Colors have a huge effect on me as well, like really strong, intense colors, like red, super strong red. Like if I'm in an environment where there's a lot of red, like it really, I don't know, just as an example, like I remember once, before I figured out that I was really not okay, I spent the night at my friend's place, like in his guest room, because I don't know, I felt so lonely in his room. Like all the walls were red, and I couldn't sleep, like, at all. Like during the night I got up and I just couldn't sleep, and then I went on the couch in the living room and just ended up sleeping there, because it was more there was not so much red, and I just felt so uncomfortable, and like it felt so aggressive in that other room, and I knew it kind of, but I wasn't really aware of it at that time. And then looking back, I realized, wow, it was because of that color. And also if it's like super messy around me, like it's also a positive thing, because it makes me want to organize things and like really clean up. But initially it just has a huge effect on me. And I'm sure you can all relate to this in some sense. Like, we're all affected by our environment, and if there's like a really, I don't know, like negative things going on around us, it affects us. Or depending on, I don't know, if we're in a place where it's like, I don't know, everything's designed super beautifully and softly and like gentle, and there's gentle music in the background and like plants, and there's a like artificial waterfall, like it has an effect on how you feel, of course, like we all know this. I think I just learned through this depression stuff that, like, for me it might have an even bigger impact dozen others. And there are different theories on why that is. Like, I often thought it's because I'm highly sensitive, but also, like, through doing all the therapy, I learned about hypervigilance. I think that's the word, which means that if you had as a child, you had a parent who was not, or at least one parent or caregiver who was not emotionally safe for you, you become super aware and attuned of how their emotional state is, so that you can predetermine or very quickly know, like, if their mood changes, and then adapt to acting a certain way so that you are safe again. And yeah, sadly, my dad, as much as I love him, he really is not the most emotionally stable person, and he struggled a lot with a lot of things when I was growing up, and couldn't really, didn't really have a space to express it, or navigate it in the best way. Which he's not alone with that. I think, like, back in the days it was different, and also, like, for men especially, it's so difficult in our world to figure out a way to live with their emotions and how to live and express them healthily and navigate life well, being a feeling human being, and also, like, living with the pressures of patriarchy and like the expectations of what it should look like to be a man, and that's so difficult. And so yeah, I'm sure he's not alone with that, but as a child, it was super challenging to live with that, because you rely I'm learning so many things about that, but as a child, your nervous system, like, you're not able to regulate yourself until you're like 7 years old or something. So you need like an adult to help you co-regulate when your nervous system is, like, out of balance, and so you rely on emotionally stable adults who can help you to move through emotions and all that stuff. And when you don't have that, and you can't find that in them, it's super scary for children, because you don't know, like, you don't really have a way to regulate yourself. Sorry, this is maybe a little bit, like, going too deep into the topic now, but, like, one adaptive strategy, because of course as a child you depend on your parents for survival, and it feels like really life or death threatening to when you're not on their good side, like when you feel like they don't love you, or when you feel like they are upset at you. So you try to be, or that's what my strategy was, to be, of course, on the good side, and to be really a comfortable child, especially for my dad, like to be an easy child, and to not make him upset, or if he was upset, to figure out how to help him balance. And yeah, because I had to learn how to do that, I also became hyper attuned to how he was doing his emotions, and what was going on with him, so that I could see how I could act, so that he could, I don't know, calm down again, or that not be mad at me. And I mean, that's a skill, like, you tuning into your like outside of yourself into something or someone else, like, that's a skill that you learn, and that doesn't go away once you grow up. And so this idea of hypervigilance means that children who grew up in an environment that wasn't safe for them, like, are super aware of any threats, or stay very aware of scanning the environment wherever they are to find any threats that could make them unsafe, and then to find a way to make themselves feel safe again. And that could be another reason why environment influences me so much, because I'm so still hyper aware of what's going on around me to figure out how to feel safe. And I noticed that so much looking back now on my life, like that whenever I went anywhere, like I immediately found the things or the people, especially the people that felt unsafe, that felt like they are not safe for me. And let me think if I can find a like a very specific situation. I'm now thinking of when I was maybe 21, I think, no, 20. I was volunteering at an organic farm in Sweden, and there were 2 people who were really, really unsafe emotionally. One was another co-volunteer who I was living with and working with, and then also my boss, like the guy who was running the farm and who was, we were working with him every single day. He was showing us like what to do, or taking us places to pick up farm animals, and taught us some things about farming, gardening, cow heritage, like all kinds of stuff. He knew a lot of things. And those 2 guys sometimes had super emotional outbursts and were like just not stable at all emotionally. And I guess I knew that like right from the beginning when I met them, because I sensed it, because I was I'm so attuned to dangerous people for me. And I really, like, especially with my co-volunteer, I tried to, and like all of that was way before my depression, and like it was just my default mode, like what I was doing without even thinking about it. Like with my co-volunteer, I would really try to balance it out. Like whenever he got upset, like I don't know, I tried to stay calm and just really I don't know, reason with him, but just like didn't even address the fact that what he was doing was not okay. Like the way he was talking with me, the way he was like angry, and like really, I don't know, he like was super irrational how he communicated with me, and also with like other volunteers, but especially with me, because I feel like he could tell that I was used to being treated that way, if that makes sense. And so I kind of trying to be the balance, and like to balance him out, and to really get on his good side again quickly. And and also with our boss, like I don't even know if I talk negatively about him. I just, like afterwards, like I would kind of understand him, and I wouldn't really react. Like I would just try to be the positive harmony vibe whenever he got upset. And only years later, like when I was deep into my therapy stuff, I realized that I don't have to do this. Like I don't have to take the emotional incapability of other people onto myself and try to balance them out, or kind of hold space for them when it's really not A, my job, and B, it's just too much for me and too heavy to hold. And and slowly but surely, the more I focused on like, what do I need, what kind of people do I need, what environments do I need, the more I understood that I had a choice, that I don't have to stay in situations like that, and I can actually move away from those people and tell them, okay, it's your stuff, like please take care of it, but I'm not responsible for it, thank you, have a good one. that was a huge shift for me. And I feel like now I'm still aware of my environment, but I'm not as like it still influences me a lot. For example, 2 weeks ago I was at having breakfast at a cafe with my siblings, and it was super loud. Like there were so many people. It was a small room, and were lots of noises. And I was sitting there, and it was really I could tell that it was like I knew it would drain a lot of my energy to stay there and to have breakfast there. And I had a moment where I thought, oh, I could feel a little bit of panic, like as I used to when I was, I don't know, like really in the beginning, or like in the first 1.5, 2 years of my depression, when I was super quickly overwhelmed and sometimes would have panic attacks when like I got super overstimulated. Just check the music. But it was really cool, because then I told myself, like, you can do this and you can choose what you want to focus on now, and you got this, and this won't be forever. Like after that you can rest, and you're here with the people you love, like you're here with your siblings, and you'll just focus on them. And I'm guessing now, like that I think about it, maybe I just take a sip of water. Maybe I did have those panic attacks before because I felt like I was in an environment that I couldn't, like an unsafe environment that I couldn't control. Because when you're super attuned to your environment and you're able, like you feel like, okay, I can change the way I act so that whatever is unsafe in my environment I can like kind of manipulate to be less dangerous for me. And then you're in an environment where there are so many threats that you don't even know where to start. Like it takes away your sense of safety or sense of control, and that gives you this panic, or at least that's maybe what I unconsciously thought. Yeah, it was really cool in that cafe 2 weeks ago to notice that I could just like focus on myself, my situation, my body, and just feel into myself and say, okay, it is loud and it is a lot, but I can handle it, and then it'll be over eventually and I'll be able to rest. And that's how it was, and it went really well. And afterwards I thought, wow, a few years ago I would have never been able to do that, and to stay calm, to stay there, and to actually enjoy it. That was a cool moment of growth, or realizing that I have really grown. So it still does influence me a lot, but I think because in my depression time, like I was in a super vulnerable space, a place in my life, and I was really, like I always say, like for me depression was like my body taking away all my outside energy, like that I could spend, I don't know, moving around, traveling, connecting with others, like all those things. My whole system just took that away from me, so that I would like finally focus on all of this stuff that was going on inside of me. And it was like giving me not a gentle but a very strict nudge, saying, please now look at this and commit to this. Like you really need to sort out a lot of your inner things. And naturally, I think in that time or season of my life, I just didn't have capacity for too many things on the outside, because I was so focused on my inner life. And yeah, that's why any environment that was not supporting my calm or my sensitive side was super draining for me, I guess. And now I'm still avoiding, I don't know, right now I'm looking for like places to live because I want to move out, and I'm consciously not choosing to live close to the city center, like I like to be there once in a while, but just for like a certain amount of time, and then I'm happy to leave again and to come home where it's more relaxed and calm. There are less people, there are less noises, there's just less going on, because it still drains me, and it's exciting for a moment, but not for super long. Yeah, and it is, of course, it's also like a beautiful gift, because it means that I can choose environments or create environments that really influence me positively, that make me feel really, really good, and that give me inspiration and strength and joy. Like, being so sensitive or being so attuned to your environment really has its good sides as well. Like, when I'm not well and I go into the forest or I go to my lake, I immediately feel better afterwards, and it just lifts me up so much. Or just every morning going into the garden and just like seeing all the plants and hearing all the birds sing. They sing so much here, and super loudly, like all day long. I love it. Like, it lifts my mood every single day and makes me so happy. Or, I don't know, putting on a certain style or kind of music can put me in such a nice mood and like give me really good vibes. Whereas maybe for other people it's not that simple or not that easy. So it's also something that I can really use to lift myself up. Yeah, so it's a gift, and also sometimes, of course, it's a challenge. There was one more thing I wanted to say. Yeah, it's just one thing that I've been thinking about the last days a lot. How thankful I am that this depression really brought out my sensitivity in general, because it had gone unloved and unseen and unnoticed for the longest time, and which made sense. Like, it was all like every adapting strategy that we have as children, or whenever we're in an environment where we need to adapt. Like, it's so brilliant, and it's so amazing how adaptable we are as humans, and how we can learn to live and be safe in an environment by kind of changing the way we approach things and the way we operate in the world or with others. And so it's really wise that my sensitive side has been so repressed, or I repressed it for so long, and of course it was somehow visible, like in certain ways. If I think about, like, my singing voice was always very different to my speaking voice, and I felt like I could really express my sensitivity through singing, or like just through very small, simple things. Like, it was present in my life, but never in its full extent, or never in full bloom, and that caused a lot of conflicts and a lot of grief, I would say, in me, which also kept me from really connecting with others and really being able to feel really close to anyone. And so as hard as it was, and as much struggle as I went to, and as much shame I unpacked with that, because I had so much shame about being so sensitive and feeling so much, and feeling like I was too dramatic and all those things, which I think a lot of women have because we're and also men for sure, but I've heard this word used for describing women many times, which added to the shame, of course. And because feelings are not rational, emotions aren't, like, they just are. And yeah, just yesterday I posted a video on Instagram where I was singing on my with my ukulele, like a song that I had written on Monday when I was processing heartbreak. And after I had posted it, I was like, wow, I have grown so much. If I think about, like, I used to be super, like, it used to be something that I never wanted anyone to know, like how much all this romantic love stuff affected me and how sad I could get or emotional I could get when, like, there was a breakup. And let alone, like, expressing that, making it into a song, where I always thought whatever I had to share was, like, not good enough, or I could never find the right words. And then to sing it and share it with other people online, just as it was, like, it's not like a perfectly produced song, it's just something that I wrote, and that it's, like, very raw and, like, nothing properly finished. Like, it's just a short little song, and there's so many hills, or what do you call it? Like, hurdles I've overcome in order to get to this point where I was, like, sharing this, and just I was kind of proud of myself to share it out. I was also not wearing any mascara in the video, which I used to feel super ashamed about as well. And it felt like a huge moment of growth, realizing that after I had shared it. And it doesn't really matter how many people see it or how many people like it, just the fact that I did that and I put that out there feels like a huge stepping stone for me, and a huge validation that, wow, I'm really owning my sensitive side, and I'm really enjoying, not even only owning, but also enjoying to be someone who feels so deeply and loves so deeply, but also experiences loss and expresses it, and is not afraid to share it in her own words. And I don't know, that's just a huge win for me. I'm so proud of myself. Yay. And it didn't come by chance. It really took me so much sweat, tears, hours and hours and hours of reflection and feeling into what I was feeling, and expressing myself again and again and again, getting to know myself slowly but surely, and not looking away from the things that I used to be so ashamed of for such a long time. And those are the things that matter for me, at least in my life, much more than other things. Like, it's the inner stuff that for me that is, like, the biggest challenge in our life, because our biggest, I don't know, enemy or challenger in our lives is us. Okay. Is there anything else I want to say about, maybe not only about the lesson, but also about depression in general? There are so many aspects to it that make it really difficult to live it in ease. Like, depression is something that you live through and that you learn and grow through, in my experience, and it's something that brings its own challenges, but also wisdom and growth. And there was another word, but I forgot now. And it's a really beautiful and deep and transformative thing. And I think what makes it so difficult to live it in that way, and to really live it with ease, are things like societal expectations of having to be super productive, whatever that means, and rushing through life, where with depression you just have to slow down and everything slows down, so that you can look at everything and just take everything apart and bring up all the chaos and then figure out like what you want to keep, what you want to let it go, and what you just need to feel to release. And that just slows down everything else in life. And of course this is super challenging to do when you live in a world where everything has to go quickly. There have to be immediate results, and you have to be effective, and you have to you're expected to work or function in a certain way. That makes it super hard to live it with ease. The other thing is stigma. Like, there's so much stigma around going to therapy, mental health, feelings, and it is already softening. I'm super grateful for that, and I think all the people who are talking about it and getting more comfortable with opening up are really like participating in making this more easy and kind of diluting the stigma a little bit. I'm super thankful because that makes it easier for anyone who goes through depression. What other thing makes it difficult? I would say just the expectations on what life should look like at a certain age. Like, this pressure really made things so much harder for me. Like, this pressure, you have to study, you have to do some kind of apprenticeship, you have to find a work. Like, don't you want to start your life and then have a relationship and then get married and have kids? Like, just the blueprint of what a good life should look like compared to what you actually need in a certain phase of your life can make things so hard, because it makes you feel so lost, isolated and disconnected from the people who want to see that blueprint lived out in your life, who want you to live it out when you need something so different. That's another hurdle that's really difficult to navigate. And I think it's important to talk about that, because it's helpful to be aware of those things, and to kind of sort out, okay, what are the struggles. And I really wish that those things get easier on the people who move through depression nowadays. What also makes it difficult is like resources. Like, you need money to live, you need a place to stay, you need food to eat. You need to be able to like navigate your life, go grocery shopping, like all the basic things. And like, I realized, like, I was, well, I don't know, like kind of a lucky situation, because I was able to live at my home. It was like an environment that I knew, that I felt comfortable in, more or less. And financially, I got supported from my parents for 3 years before I signed up for social services support, financial support. And I was doing that when I was already doing a little bit better, but I, like, when I was in the clinic, I realized how much of a strain it is on others to figure out how to handle the money situation while they're struggling with their depression or whatever they're going through, like having to fill out all the forms, figuring out where do I get the support. I mean, it's amazing that we have that in Germany, but still it's a lot for someone who's like barely able to get through the day, let alone like, I don't know, drink enough water, make food, or even just eat food, maybe get outside once a day. Like, it's so draining, like, to then have to figure out how to do your financial stuff. And like, I don't know, I wish, I don't know what solution there could be for someone else. Like, I think I don't think I would have been, maybe, I mean, I would have had to like sign up for the social service support earlier if I hadn't had my parents, but it would have been so, I'm really glad I didn't have to do that I could just focus on this stuff first. yeah, but I don't know, it's a tricky thing. Yeah, it's a lot. What else that makes it difficult to move through depression with ease? I think I kind of talked about the main things. I mean, they all intertwine, and I met them in many different shapes and forms and people. But yeah. Or maybe another thing that I talked about with my mom yesterday was like finding a therapist. Like that it's, yeah, because it's so stigmatized, but also because I don't know where I live, you'd have to find a therapist online, call them, figure out if they have any spaces left for new patients, which often isn't the case. Then go to their office, like make an appointment, go to their office. Even going there, it takes so much energy for someone who's depressed, and so much courage, of course. And then opening up to someone who you've never met before, and then like trying to figure out if they match with you, and having like, I think you can have 3 sessions for free before you choose, like decide if you want them to be your therapist or not. And then yeah, you either stay with them or try out another one. And that takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, like considering like, yeah, when you don't have energy, like every little thing costs you so much energy. And yeah, that's why I was super grateful for doing online therapy. I only started it like a few years into my depression, but it really took away a lot of the heavy factors of like having to get ready, going into the city, the place that I feel so uncomfortable or overwhelmed in quickly, and then being in an office that I might not feel comfortable in, sharing a lot of stuff, and then being super, like after therapy, like it can be super draining. And like I often felt super drained after therapy because like you bring up a lot of really heavy topics and you really dig through the really muddy emotional stuff that is scary to go into, and also just is heavy to look at and to hold. And so I often felt super drained and exhausted after therapy and very vulnerable. And then like, yeah, coming out of the office back into the city, where I often actually dissociated, looking back now, felt super overwhelmed. And then having to go back home and then figuring out like how to spend the rest of your day, feeling all of that stuff. So for me, online therapy was a huge relief. Just being able to be at my home, I don't have to get ready, I don't have to go anywhere, I can just be in my pajamas if I want to. And it really lowers the bar of starting it. And even before, like at this app, I really want to give some, I think I talked about this online therapy I did before. It's from BetterHelp. It's, as far as I know, it's only available in English-speaking countries right now. And yeah, I filled out a questionnaire and answered like some questions about my situation, what I was looking for, what I need support with, and then they matched me with a therapist. I could have like a few sessions with them, or however many sessions I wanted, and get the chance to message them whenever I needed and get a reply pretty quickly. So it was really like close support by my therapist. Before I would only see once a week and there was no contact in between. And so that felt much closer, like they were in my home through my screen. I could message them whenever I wanted. And if at some point I felt like we didn't match, I could just ask for a rematch and like to match with another therapist. And I wouldn't even have to explain it to the therapist, and I could just get a new one. that was matched to what I was looking for, which makes everything so much easier. And sadly, very sadly, the health insurance doesn't cover it yet. Like, they covered all my therapy stuff, like my in-person therapy stuff. They covered all the costs for the clinic that I went to, which is incredible. Like, you go, Germany. But sadly they don't cover that yet, which I find really sad, because it lowers the bar for people to have access in their state where they really need it, and to really, like, it meets the patients or the clients at a more realistic place. I don't know, it just makes way more sense for me to do online therapy. Yeah, so I've been paying for it myself from the government money. Which I'm lucky I could do, and it's been really life-changing for me to do that therapy. And I matched with my best therapist ever, and I've been working with her for almost 2 years now, so I love her. But I've said that many times already. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening and for coming along the journey with me. And I think I've said what I wanted to say. Now I'll just continue my writing, and I'll let you know once the book is out. Oh my gosh. And I'll just upload a video on how my writing process went. Eventually, I don't know when I will do that, but I will do it someday. And other than that, I don't know. I'm sending lots of love to you from the south of Germany. And I hope you also, depending on where you are, have a nice springtime. It's incredibly beautiful at the moment here. Wishing you all the best. Again, as usual, if you have any questions or comments, anything that you want to share, feel free to reach out. You can find me on, you can comment on the YouTube video. You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is hedi.petersen. I think I'll put it in the description box below. And just thanks again, and it's been such a journey. I wish you all the best from the bottom of my heart, and really appreciate you and this platform. It's been amazing, and I hope to see you sometime soon, either in my videos or in real life or on Instagram or wherever. Okay, bye for now.